Hi everyone, welcome to AI Crack channel. This is Akash Gangwar and today we'll be studying functions lecture 4 and we are going to study the most important function, that is modulus function. So let's begin a lecture with the basic definition of modulus function, and as we must be knowing that modulus function converts everything into a positive number. What kind of positive number? Let's say we have a negative input as -5, and once we apply the modulus function on that, it would give us 5 as the answer. So what it does is it removes this negative sign and gives the positive number. Okay, in case we have 5 as the input, in that case we are going to get 5 only, right? So for positive number it does nothing, but for negative number it removes that negative sign and returns the positive output. Okay, so that is the basic idea about modulus function, which you all must be knowing, right? But the main question that arises over here, can we use algebraic operators between a modulus function and a polynomial function? No, we cannot do that. We can add x and x, right? That would give us 2x. We can subtract x and x, that would give us 0. But can we make out something of this modulus x plus x? No, we cannot. This is an individual function. This is an individual function. So that's why we further need to simplify our modulus function, and we are going to open up this function as a piecewise function. That would give us x and minus x. Now, how did this come? Let's try to build that thought process. Okay. So for example, this is our modulus function. Now, firstly, what I'm doing, I'm taking x equals to 5. Okay. Now, in this case, we'll be getting 5 as the answer, right? Because this is a positive number and it's going to return a positive number only. Now, in case x equals to -5, in that case we will still get 5, but now what I'll do, I'll write this as minus of -5 so that our input stays clear. In this case input was 5, in this case input was -5, although both means 5 only, but over here presentation becomes different because input was different, right? Now our x value was 5 and -5 over here. Now, what if I replace 5 and -5 with x? Because ultimately we gave those values to x only. Being a variable, we gave those values to x only, right? So let's replace 5 and -5 with x. So now modulus x becomes x and minus x. This one for positive values and this one for negative values. So we can say that x is greater than equals to 0 and over here x is less than 0, right? For x less than 0, this is the function. For x greater than equals to 0, this is the function. This is the modulus function, right? So ultimately this becomes the modulus function. Now we can use this along with the polynomials, right? We can use x plus x or x minus x, right? We can use those operators over here. And now that we have defined the modulus function like this, let's take it further by defining one more point, that is a critical point, right? Now what is this point? This is a point where the function inside the modulus is becoming 0. Let's say we have multiple examples. We have x minus 1, we have x minus 2, we have x minus 5. So this is becoming, this inside function is becoming 0 at 1. This is becoming at 2. This is becoming 0 at 5. And this one is becoming at 0, right? So these all are critical points for individual modulus functions. Okay. Now in this case, 0 was the critical point. So what we can conclude, on the right hand side of critical point, we have positive values. On the left hand side of the critical point, we have negative values, right? And now if you want to plot it on the number line, this is our critical point. And on the right hand side, we have positive values. On left hand side, we have negative values. On right hand side, we are going to open the modulus function with a positive sign. On left hand side, we are going to open up the modulus function with a negative sign. Okay. So until now, we have studied basic definition. We have studied opening up a mod function. And we have studied critical points. Right, we have studied these three things. Let's add domain and range to this one as well. Okay, so what about domain? Domain belongs to R. Why? Because modulus x can take any value, positive, negative, irrational, rational, anything. It can take any value. That's why domain becomes R. Okay, now what about range? Now we know that modulus x is either 0 or positive, right? Only this one, either 0 or positive. It cannot be negative. So its range is 0 to infinity, and the square bracket at 0. Okay, so this is our range. This is our range and this is our domain. So we have studied these 5 points as of now. And now let's talk about the most important thing, that is type 1 graphs. Type 1 graphs means the basic ones, very simple ones. Okay, so let's first talk about modulus x function. And we know that this function can be written as x or minus x. X when when x is greater than equals to 0, and minus x when x is less than 0, right? This is based on the critical point, that is 0 over here. Now if you want to plot this function, then we have y equals to x, right? For x positive, for positive x values, we have y equals to x, this one, right? And this one for negative x values, so this is y equals to minus x, right? Simple. Now it can also be interpreted in this manner. In case if we had extended this line for the entire number line, for all positive and negative values, if we had plotted y equals to x and kept a mirror over here, this is a mirror over here, then this line y equals to minus x is the mirror image of this line only for negative values, right? For positive values, y equals to x stays the same. For negative values, this line is the mirror image of this line, right? So if we have a point over here, we have exactly the positive point over here. If we have a point over here, negative point, we have the positive replica of that point over here, right? Because of the mirror image. Now this is applicable only in case when we have some negative values. So what modulus function does is it takes everything towards positive. It makes everything positive, right? This is what modulus function does, right? So that's why all these negative values are converted into positive values by the help of this mirror image, right? So you can also use this technique to plot different kinds of modulus graphs. Now, if we talk about 2 times modulus x, that would just increase the slope of this modulus function and nothing else. Everything would stay the same. Now, in this case, for y equals to x, for x equals to 1, we were getting 1 only. But in case of 2 modulus x, we'll be getting 2. So basically, our slope is increasing. Everything remains the same. Critical point over here is still 0 because we are only concerned by the function which is inside modulus. We are not concerned by the constant outside. We are concerned by the function which is inside modulus, and for that function, critical point is still 0. Okay. Now let's move towards type 2 graphs. These are little trickier ones where critical point is changing. It's not 0 now. So in this case, critical point is 1. In this case, critical point is 3. And now let's see how the graphs are going to change. So for this one, for first one, modulus x minus 1, this is going to open up as positive or negative. Positive when x is greater than equals to 1, because we have a critical point as 1 over here, and negative when x is less than 1. So because of critical point, this value has changed now. In previous case it was this, but now we have x greater than equals to 1, and over here we have x less than 1. Okay. And now if you want to plot this function, we'll be getting 0 at 1, right? And that is our bottom. So this is our function y equals to x minus 1 for x greater than equals to 1. And this is our function y equals to minus of x minus 1. That is nothing but 1 minus x for x less than 1. So we can see that we are getting a bottom at critical point. In previous modulus function, that is modulus x, we got a bottom at 0 because that was the critical point. Over here we are getting a critical point at 1. That's why we are getting the bottom at 1. Okay. And now if you want to plot the other graph, that is of modulus of 2x minus 6, we have a critical point at 3, right? So without even writing this one, what we can do, we can mark the critical point over here, and for x greater than equals to 3, we can write this as 2x minus 6, basically y equals to 2x minus 6, and for x less than 3, we can write y equals to 6 minus 2x, right? We have a bottom at critical point over here. So this is the graph of this function, right? Without even writing this one. What we have understood is we have to first mark the critical point. And on the right hand side of it, it's going to open with positive sign. And on the left hand side of it, it's going to open with negative sign. And at the critical point, we are going to get the bottom. Okay. As of now, this is very clear. Now let's talk about this one. We have a double modulus over here, fx equals to modulus of modulus x minus 1. Okay. Now for a regular modulus function, for example, modulus of x minus 1, critical point was 1, that is x equals to 1, where this function is becoming 0, right? And defining points were x is greater than equals to 1, x is less than 1. These were the two defining points, right? But now in this case, we have double modulus. So what we'll do, we'll define critical point as modulus x equals to 1 and defining points as modulus x greater than equals to 1, modulus x less than 1. Clear until now, right? Now once we are done with that, let's open up this modulus. We have modulus of modulus x minus 1 equals to, the first part would be positive part on the right hand side of the critical point, second part would be negative part on the left hand side of the critical point, right? So this becomes modulus x greater than equals to 1, modulus x less than 1. Until now it's very clear. Now still it's not very simplified. We still have modulus all around. We have to further simplify it. So let's look at this one first. Okay. When we say we have modulus x greater than equals to 1, we mean that x is either greater than equals to 1 or x is less than equals to minus 1. In both the cases, this inequality would hold true, right? Either this one or this one or this one. Right? This is the keyword over here. Listen it carefully because from here it's going to be trickier. When we are defining this range, when we are defining this inequality, we mean that x is either greater than equals to 1 or x is less than equals to 1, right? Or x is less than equals to minus 1, right? These are the cases for this particular inequality. Now let's open up once again. Let's remove this one for a while. We'll write this once again. Okay. Now in this case, what we are doing, we are writing in two parts. X is either greater than equals to 1 or x is less than equals to minus 1. We have opened that up into two parts, right? Now we can see that this is always positive and this is always negative. That's a benefit for us. This is always positive, this is always negative. So basically for always positive, we can write this as x minus 1. Basically remove that modulus over here because x is always positive. And same for this one, we have minus x minus 1 because x is always negative. So we opened that modulus with a negative sign. So this was the part where we had modulus x minus 1 for modulus x greater than equals to 1. This was the case which got divided in this part, right? And this was the case which got divided into this part based on these ranges. So our main idea was to open up the ranges first and then accordingly open up the modulus function inside modulus function. First part was to open up the outside modulus. Then we got a particular range. We opened up that range, and then based on that ranges, we opened up the inside modulus. Right? That was the first part. Now the second part was modulus x less than 1. Right? Now when we say that modulus x less than 1, we actually mean x belongs to minus 1 to 1. Basically, x is less than 1 and greater than minus 1. This is what we mean when we say modulus x less than 1, right? But over here, we don't have that kind of facility like this one. It includes both positive or negative values. This x range includes both positive or negative value. There is no clear-cut bifurcation. So what we can do over here, we can write this range into two parts. We can write this as x is greater than equals to 0, less than 1. This is always positive, right? And we can also write x is greater than minus 1 and less than 0, right? This is always negative, this is always positive. So we have broken down this range into two parts to facilitate this kind of thing. This was the facility that gave us this kind of bifurcation, right? But in this case, we didn't have this kind of facility. So we had to make that facility for us, basically dividing this range into two parts. One is always positive and one is always negative. All right. Now let's write this one over here. We have x less than 1 and greater than equals to 0, and we have x less than 0 greater than minus 1. So we have these two ranges now, and the function was minus of modulus x minus 1. This was the function written over here. Now for the positive part, this function would open up as positive, this inside modulus, right? So that would become minus of x minus 1. And for the negative part, this would open with a negative sign, that would become minus of minus x minus 1. We have opened up this modulus, this one, here with positive sign, here with negative sign, right? So now we have got these four parts of this one single function, right? It's highly unlikely that you are going to get a function this complicated in actual examination, but it's good to know how to break it down because we are getting a lot of surprises in PGDBA. You may get one this kind of example, okay? And now that we're done with the opening up of this function, let's plot this function. And until now, what we were doing, we were plotting these individual functions according to their respective x values. This is what we were doing, right? But now we'll be using the mirror image concept, which we studied few slides back, which we saw a glimpse, right? So we have the basic function as modulus x minus 1, and we have taken the modulus of that function. So let's look at this internal function first. Let's plot this one. This looks like this one, right? We just saw this in this example, right? Basically shifting the modulus function by one value on the negative side. Now we are taking modulus of this entire function, basically making everything positive, right? So what we'll get, we'll place a mirror over here where we have negative values and take the mirror image of this line about this mirror, right? So we'll be getting function over here. This is the mirror image of this one. This is the mirror image of this one. So this one, let's mark it with a new marker. So this one is the required function. So for the negative part, we have to use the mirror image method. For positive part, it's not going to change. For negative part, it's going to change because of this modulus sign over here. Okay. Now let's talk about the type 4 graph, and I leave that for homework. But I'll explain the concept over here. We have two critical points over here, 1 and 2. Let's plot that on the number line. We have 1 and 2 over here. Okay. Now on the right hand side of 2, that is on this side, we can see that this is going to open up with a positive sign, right? Very simple, because this is the critical point for this one. And on this side as well, this is also going to open up with a positive sign, because this is still on the right hand side of 1 only, right? So over here, both functions would open up as x minus 1 plus x minus 2, right? Because they both are on the right side of the critical points. Now over here, in this zone, this function would open up as negative because it's on the left hand side of its critical point. So it would open up as minus of x minus 2, right? But this one still opens as positive, right? Because it's still on the right hand side of its critical point. So we have plus x minus 1. And on this side, we have both opening up as negative, minus x minus 1 minus of x minus 2, right? So now we have got three functions, this one, and this one, for their respective ranges. This range was x was less than 1. This range is x less than equals to 2, greater than equals to 1, and this one x is greater than 2. Okay. And now that you have got the functions, you can simply plot them. So today's lecture was till here only, and in the next lecture we'll be talking about GIF functions and fraction part functions, and also we'll be solving certain problems related to modulus functions as well. Okay. So let's meet in the next lecture. Thanks for watching.